Are you having trouble finding your female ancestor in those pre-1850 census records? Don't panic, guys. Today I'm going to be showing you clues about how to find your female ancestor in those early census records. Hi, I'm Lisa Listen with Are You My Cousin, and I work hard to help take that overwhelm out of your genealogy research and help you start finding your ancestors. So I'd love it, guys, before we get started, if you would do me a great big favor and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you will be notified and not miss any new videos that are posted here to the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. Now, we as genealogy researchers are very familiar with researching in those census records. They're some of the first records that we go to. But when you start getting into those pre-1850 census records, 1840 and earlier, sometimes we're not as comfortable with those records. And plus, how in the world do we find our female ancestors in those early census records? Now, I confess, I used to dread the point in my research when I ended up in those 1840 and earlier census records, because I thought, oh gosh, how in the world am I ever going to find that female ancestor in here? But I came to understand that my dread actually was coming not from the worry of not finding my ancestors, but because I really didn't understand the record well enough. So just how can we use those pre-1850 census records to find evidence of our female ancestor and learn clues to her existence? Well, first and foremost, with those early census records, we can actually place a female ancestor in a very specific place in a very specific time. Now, often our female ancestors were simply enumerated in one of those age categories. And we can actually infer a birth date or a range for her birth date from that age category. Then comparing that with other genealogical information we might have on her, we can help to narrow that gap for her birth year. So we can put her in time and place, and we can infer a birth year. Now, a female could actually be the head of the household. Now, in this case, she was likely a widow or perhaps a divorced woman living on her own, but she could be the head of the household. And then you would see the different other members of her family enumerated in those age categories. So if you're finding a female ancestor as the head of the household, your next step is to seek out a marriage record and then perhaps a will or probate for potential husbands. Now, the other thing that you can other helpful clues that you can find in those early census records is evidence of a second wife, if a gentleman had a second wife. Now, in this case, guys, you got to do the math. So as you're tracking your ancestor through the records, and you get in through those census records, and you get into those earlier census records, do the math, guys, for each individual of the adults, particularly that you're looking at in those age categories. Do the math and determine the birth date, the range of years for the birth date, and make sure they're matching up with the other information you have. So if you find a gentleman and you have the wife at a certain age and you back up another earlier census record and the wife is still in that same birth range, okay, that's probably pretty good. But perhaps you go back a couple more census records and you find a wife who had a birth year or range that was significantly earlier. Then you might want to consider, was this the first wife? And maybe he had that second wife. So it's an inconsistency in the census record, and we as genealogy researchers know that when you find inconsistencies in records, you need to look closer and determine why that occurred. And in this case, this is an evidence that we might find a second wife, or I should say a first wife. So make sure that you are considering that possibility as well. So while you may not find definitive information on your female ancestors in those early records, you are absolutely able to find clues to her existence, clues to her birth date, clues to where they lived. Analyzing those early census records for those females is absolutely crucial to your genealogy research as you pursue learning more about your female ancestors. If you want to see some close-up examples of how this actually works, feel free to click the link in the description below. That'll take you to the post over on the Are You My Cousin website where you can see examples and get a little deeper into this topic. Okay, guys, there you have it. I hope you have a great day. Before you go, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button down below, that'd be great. That way you won't miss any of the new videos as they're posted here on the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. Bye.